Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Keeping It Real on Purpose. I am your host, Edna White. And today on our show, we are discussing the topic of workplace trauma. And we have a special guest. So we want you to stick around, audience. Don't go anywhere because you need to hear her story because she's going to drop some jewels that can inspire you and wake you up to some things you didn't even know. On this topic alone, we've had so many people come in and just talk about this. But today, we're going to have our special guest by the name of Grace Simmons, and she's going to share her story with us. Welcome to Keeping It Real on Purpose.
Thank you so much.
All right, so tell us your story.
Absolutely. So I started as an administrative assistant, say in 2015. It was my first big girl job after working at a hotel. And I was a bartender, and this was my first like formal, fully dress up. I was excited.
Mm-hmm.
And once I got hired, wasn't exactly at the level I thought, but I thought, hey, you know what? It's new. I'm new. Let me just get my feet wet, figure things out. And then I'll move on because I'm a pretty determined person. I could figure this
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
A few months later, another colleague of mine was hired. We were same age, about the same educational background, different race. And she was put into a career path where promotions were allowed. It was much
Mm-hmm.
easier for her to be promoted, whereas my career design was as the supervisor saw fit. That was a very old, very archaic. I'm not sure where they found that document from, but that's what they had me under.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
So
Oh,
we had a discussion about, I talked to my supervisor about that. Um, and honestly, the conversation was that, well, it's what we had and it's what worked. And so, oh, you'll be fine. You'll get those promotions.
wow.
Um, and I did not. And so the only way that I was able to get out of there was to move to another office, which that took a lot. So moving from one space where your entire focus is just to, I know it's administration, but it seems like your one focus is just to serve. You're not put in a position to grow or to
Right.
develop. And so when I did, I remember how frustrated my supervisor was, not me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that I decided to leave. I mean, she was yelling. She was just, you're not qualified, going on and on about all these different things. I was because somebody else had already hired me. And
Wow.
so I then transferred over to another job where I ended up staying 4 years. And I think there's the difference between that one position where I realized this is not where I need to be versus where I stayed for 4 years. It wasn't like I found my perfect job. It
Right.
was that I felt so grateful to have left that first position that I
Right.
wanted to make the next one work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't the way things should be, right? You should be in a space where
No,
you can grow.
absolutely.
Not at all. Um, and so, unfortunately, it took me about 4 years to realize that, every time I had a conversation with my supervisor, I was always reminded about how low my pay was, and how much they're trying to give me promotions. And I had a desk that's made for so that I'm available to everyone. Um,
Mm,
but it was seen as there wasn't really a barrier separating me from people that I work with. So people would lean over my desk, not having conversations with me. They would be in their space, or somebody would try to come behind the desk to look for whatever it was. Like there was no regard of personal space, respect,
oh wow.
none of that. And for some reason, it did not click to me that I should not be there because it didn't seem as bad as what I had gone through during that first year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, like I said, a total of 4 years I had been there. And after going on a trip, I realized that there was so much of like the old me that I had lost and forgotten. I found that I
Yeah.
was more quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to speak up. Every time I spoke up and tried to bring up an issue, I was punished. Um, punished as in, oh, since you've noticed this is an issue, how about you take care of it, when it wasn't my job. Um,
Wow.
I was training people that were above me. And so there were just so many things. And I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut, keep my head down, get my work done. Which isn't, again, not the right answer, but there's so many things I just wanted to show that I was grateful to
Right,
be in
right.
the position that I was in. And so after that trip, I realized that, I had to regain that, like not being able to speak up for myself or
Yeah.
waiting until things seemed like they were okay. And um, just figuring out what exactly I wanted before someone else told me.
Hmm.
And so after that trip, I came back to work and realized, you know what, I don't actually have to be here. And I made a decision that either I would work at a different office or transfer somewhere else. And so thankfully, I transferred to a place that allows me to grow where I have that satisfaction of my work, but I can also like sow into other people and
Right,
help them with their development. So I greatly appreciate that because now I can mentor and coach.
right. So when you were the first position was when you saw that this person who is a coworker of yours is in a different stream than you, like a hiring stream or
Mm-hmm.
preference. How what were the emotions associated with that?
Confusion, confusion, and just frustration. Um, she and I had
Really?
gotten close. Like I said, we had hired a couple months between. So we both had similar jobs. And so just I was like, I don't understand how we're so different. And we tried
Mm-hmm.
to put our papers aside and we neither one of us could figure out why I was in the position that I was if we were doing
Right,
the
right.
exact same thing. So yeah, just really confused. I did not understand why it was like that. And it was really
Mm-hmm.
frustrating because I knew that I was putting the effort. And I
Right,
knew it was also something as simple as submitting a packet
right,
to fix it. That's maybe where a lot of that frustration came from.
right, right. So, and how did your friend feel at the same time? You know, because you both worked together and you are colleagues. I don't know if you were friends. You didn't say friends, but
Mm-hmm.
colleagues. How did that pressure on her? You know, did you feel that way that she had pressure?
I think I tried my best to not make it seem like it was her fault because it wasn't.
Right.
Um, and in turn, I'm not sure she felt pressured, but she did help when she could. So when
Right.
that initial transfer happened, that's because she was having a conversation. Someone had overheard us speaking in a meeting,
Okay.
and she jumped in as like a liaison. And so I think because of her career role, she
Right.
could move, whereas I needed like double the paperwork to get me to move.
Oh
So
my
she moved
gosh.
first, and then she
Uh-huh.
worked with them to come get me so that I could be transferred over, which is insane because it was like a diagonal office. So it shouldn't have taken that much. But yeah.
Oh wow. So let me ask you. So yeah, that's crazy, and it's yeah. You're right. I would be. I'm confused listening to it because it's like um a puzzle almost like
Mm-hmm.
you shift the shifting around. But I like that you shared that you lost your voice. So in all of that transition, you learned to keep your nose to the grindstone, say nothing, and it was almost like you were expected to be this way. Did they give you that feeling or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in that second office. One of the things that I noticed was there was a guy who I think everyone was just waiting for him to retire, like a literal elephant in the room, right? We're just everyone's holding on, waiting for this man to retire. No one wanted to say anything to him. No one wanted to correct anything. No one wanted to hold him accountable. Um, and here I come, just super happy to be there. And I was like, it seems like he's struggling with this. Is it okay? And I'm asking our supervisor, his boss, is it okay if I just work with him because you guys seem to be having issues? And it's kind of affecting my work. And he
Right.
was like, oh, sure. Well, let me think about that. And then the
Oh, wow.
next day, they had split his work in
Mm-hmm.
half. So I had his work and my other colleague had his work. So now the person who, and it's not like he didn't know, he just didn't do his work. They
Right, right.
thought it was easier to assign his work to us than it was to hold him
Wow.
accountable.
Wow.
And that was my
Right.
first lesson like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I
Wow. That
should
was
have kept
almost
that to
sexist.
myself.
That sounded sexist to me. Really sexist. Like it was very like you do my work, like because it just almost sounded like he expected you to do that.
That
Do you,
became a part of our job. Just so unfortunate.
wow. Yeah. So now let's talk about you losing your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Did it happen all at once? Did it just little by little? How did it happen?
I think little by little, and this job was being in that job, I think made me realize how much
Hmm.
of my voice or willing to stand up for myself I had just given up.
Right.
Um, and so a little background of me is that I used to be in the military and I was still in while I was at this second job. Um,
Hmm.
and so a lot of that requires you to fall in line, blend in. And
Right.
during that time, there was, so this a little, if we fast forward a little bit to 2016, 2017,
Hmm.
there's more a rise in publication of a lot of police officers attacking and killing people of color, especially Black men and women.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and so being in a unit where a lot of my colleagues there either had some sort
Mm.
of tie to the military, or
Right.
I think I was one out of four Black women there.
Oh,
So
wow.
our numbers were tiny. So when we
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
situations like this, right? So work is tense. We're at this unit that's tense, and no one really wanted to talk about it. And I didn't even have that fight to just like we should say something that I feel not that I feel uncomfortable with my colleagues, but I don't feel safe enough to speak up around and to
Hmm.
share this incident, right? Because it would very quickly get shut down and, oh, well, this isn't, that situation or this isn't that location. Every time
Right.
someone wanted to speak up and just say, look, guys, I feel really frustrated, it's looked down upon. And
Hmm.
so it was just easier to keep that to myself.
Yeah.
Whatever I was going through at work, as far as other people are concerned, I should just be really grateful because I had that job. I had a steady salary. I could pay for my home, and
Mm.
I should just be happy and put up with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, I didn't feel
Exactly.
like, yeah, I didn't feel like I should, what am I complaining for? Other
Yeah.
people have it worse off than me. So I
And
think over,
you
oh,
go
go ahead.
ahead. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking out loud. I'm about to think out loud because you're saying a whole lot of stuff that really makes it's making me think. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Mhm. I was just gonna say over time, I think that's what happened. It's a collection of different areas in my life where I took the back seat and I thought it was easier
Mm.
to, show up as emotional support. So I needed to be quiet in that situation. I
Right.
wanted to show up like a good employee, so I needed to be quiet in that situation. I
Right.
didn't want to stand out in my army unit because I'm already a Black woman. I had issues with my weight, and I mean, I'm a good soldier, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, she's not exactly military. She's nice. She's so sweet, but that's it, right? So I kept my mouth shut there too. Um, and so there are all these different avenues of my life where I was just like, I didn't know where I could actually speak up or out of, like, I didn't feel
Yeah.
like I could do that anywhere.
Right. Right.
So it happens. It happens honestly over time, and you don't notice it until you try to, and you realize,
Right.
like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. And when you were talking about um, how you felt like you should be great, you got to take this job, and you should feel grateful about it. I thought about I've never been in slavery, and I've only way that I know about slavery. I think my my great grandfather, who used to care for me when my mom was moved up here to New York.
Mm.
Um, he was a freed slave, and he owned his own farm, and that he was like a big businessman where
Yeah.
in Thomasville, Alabama. So I didn't know about it. Like I've heard it, like, and then I see stories on television. But when you said that, it brought back roots where they were like throwing things to them and giving them things. They should be happy that they're
Mm-hmm.
alive, and
Mm-hmm.
it's almost that mentality that is very disheartening. And I think when I think about workplace, trauma and the way people think, sometimes you can't get that thought from them. They can only act, or they're not even coding. I guess I want to say they're not coding like us. We code,
Right.
we code,
Right.
we transform to what they want, and we do it eloquently. It makes us suffer, you know, but
Yeah.
we do it eloquently. But they hide it. It's almost like I got a mask on, like they're what do you call those things? Those when you put the mask on and you go to this elegant party, you're dressed up. What
Oh
is
yeah.
that? They, how they put that little the mask just over their
Like the
face,
Mardi
so
Gras
a
mask
mask.
or yeah,
Yes, masquerade.
masquerade.
Yes, and it's like they're dressed apart and they have
Mm-hmm.
this mask on, and it changes the whole persona. So they have this on and then they take it off, but they're saying things so subtly
Mm-hmm.
that you're like, wait, did they just say I was stupid? And
Right.
you be
Right.
second guessing yourself, or did they say that I'm not fit for the job? And it amazes me that this happens slowly, especially if we see people, especially women who are in leadership,
Mm-hmm.
black women. I know I was asked to be at my position where I was. I was asked by the government to be there. And somebody recommended me from the county, said she'd be great for this position. And the government needed somebody who was in real estate and knew what they were talking about, what they were doing. And so I came into this position, but the minute that I should have known better, how you just like when you look back, yeah,
Yeah.
I saw the signs,
So
I
that
saw the
that hindsight,
signs,
right?
yeah. And the minute that I met with this executive director, she was already putting me down. I said, hold up, I'm from the South. I'm not all the way raised there, but I was born there. My
Mm-hmm.
parents, and but New York rose up like, hold up, like I did one of them things. Hold up, you saying what? She said something like to me, and she said, because I was late, and I was like, I am really sorry. I just came in and apologized. I got lost on where I'm coming to. You mean to tell me you don't know where Amityville is? I said, hold up, who you talking to? I got
Mm-hmm.
real New York, real.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you go do the hand, you
Mm-hmm.
hold the hand up. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, hold up. I came in here to apologize to you. I
Right.
don't have to do this interview. She goes, no, no, no. I said, no, no, no. Okay, all right. I said, just so you know, don't be talking to me like that. Again, that was my first one. My first, it was like the flag. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
So I went in, and the other supervisor wanted me to work there. He's like, you're perfect for what we want. I said, listen, I'm not going to change for none of you. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not doing this, this, and this. It's my license, not yours. I just work here. So, and they were like, oh, well, because she asked the question right away. Well, what if we told you to put a family in a basement apartment? I said, you can ask me anything. Don't mean I agree to it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean I'm going to agree to it. I said, that's my license, not yours. So, with that being said, better not ask me because I'm not doing it. I'm going to tell you now. So, so I said, okay. So it was already then she was testing me to see what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Third thing, maybe 3 weeks later, they asked me, oh, can you give us all your landlords? Wait, what? I'm like, no, you cannot have their numbers. I'll make the contact. They're my intellectual property. I didn't gain them while I was here with you. I have them. So I
Right.
said, no, you're not. So why am I saying all this? Number one, they want to see where you are, test your flex, right? And then if you don't flex back at them, even I flex back at her, it was like, let me just see if I can break it down.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
they start to break you down. Now, just like you said about the raises, I hadn't worked for nobody since I was a young girl, like 21. I was working for the state, and I had my own business after that. And then I'm getting this job in my 50s, like, so I'm like, okay, this will be like chump change and throw this over here and do this and go here. I got a whole plan.
Right.
Girl, they tried to drive me crazy. I mean, and then they started taking, because I wouldn't do what they wanted me to do, and I stood my ground and I fought for what was right. They was like, "Oh, you got to take this is coming off your you're not going to do this job. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do." They
Mm-hmm.
start
Mm-hmm.
taking pieces of your job because you're such a leader, right? You're such
Yeah.
a leader, and they know it. They know it, especially those. And I'm a boil it all the way down. It's nothing but jealousy. It ain't
Right.
nothing but. And I try to figure out why these people like this. It's jealous. That's all what it's about. Instead of giving you accolades and say you're a magnificent person, you know what? You belong here.
Let me nurture what I see. Yeah. Nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
exactly. So they don't do that for women of color. They don't give us that, and they try to tear you up in the beginning. In the beginning, I've seen so many like powerful women like this. I forgot what she was, but she was a judge, I believe. And they were asking her so many derogatory questions. She's sitting there crying. She wasn't crying because they was aggravating her. She was crying, if I could only get my over there and punch you in your
Mm-hmm.
face. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you asking me these questions you ain't never asked nobody before. Or anybody sitting on this bench because I'm black and I'm a woman. You gonna ask me these crazy questions? So they do that to us. And I'm so happy that you were able, and you're young, and you were able to kind of change that. What would you, what would you have done that was different? That now you sit back in this 2020 hindsight, what would you have done?
I think one of the issues, especially feeling really grateful in a situation where I didn't need to be, or I didn't need to feel like I owed anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think I needed to. So I'm a Christian, and
Okay.
being a Christian, I needed to just strengthen that relationship, like have my
Yeah.
confidence built in something that wasn't me trying to prove I am whatever I thought I was supposed to be, or
Mm-hmm.
trying to keep myself up to what I think my bosses expect me to be. Like, just knowing who I was on the inside
Yeah.
meant a world of difference, because once I had that realization, I felt free to, like, I felt free to leave, because all that I was would go with me and it wasn't going to stay at this job. I
Yeah.
didn't need to be at that job to be the caring, kind person that I was. Um,
Right.
so I think getting in touch and just realizing who you are as a person, if you are spiritual, or if you are religious, just getting back to like those, establishing your foundation of who you are,
Yeah.
and then
Mm-hmm.
holding yourself accountable. So another concern was that I just was waiting for someone else to help me, right? Waiting for someone else to save me. Um, when I just needed to open my mouth and ask other
Just
people,
save yourself.
save myself. Like, I just needed to ask other people, hey, what do you guys have going on over here? And it's
Right.
just that, right? It's that simple, like, oh, I can do this. I think God gave me enough.
Yeah.
He gave me a voice. He gave me a phone.
Yeah.
I could reach out and
That's
call people
enough.
and just look. But when you don't realize that you can do these things, it seems
Yeah.
like a complete impossibility. So just maintaining that foundation of confidence of who you are, and
Right.
then using the tools that you already have. I know you asked for one,
Yep.
but those are the two that I think that
Yeah.
that most helped me. It's just using what you have.
Yeah. And isn't that what God said to Moses? Such as you
Mm-hmm.
have in your hand, use it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Use what
just
you
told
have.
somebody that today. Such as you have in your hand, use it. And that's so important. I think that. you know, we often get self worth and self confidence. Self worth is deep down under everything.
Yeah.
Self worth is the thing that you were when you were 5 years old, and you didn't care if you fell, if you was gonna ride a bike, if you was gonna jump rope, if you was gonna, I don't know, whatever you wanted to do, climb up
Mm-hmm.
on a tree. You did it to the scabs. You had scabs in your leg, but guess what?
Stories. Yeah.
You did it. You did it. Like you could, nobody could tell you didn't climb that tree because you,
Right.
even if you scraped and fell and bust your head, guess what? The next day, after that, the swelling's gone, you're gonna try it again. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna. That's this. I. You have so much confidence in yourself, so much faith in the universe that it's gonna take care of you. Like I'm not gonna fall again. The universe is going to catch me, or there's going to be this blanket that comes out of the sky, and grab me. That's what that self worth inside
Right.
of you. It doesn't need no help from the outside. But
Mm-mm.
so life kind of dims that for us, And I
It
think your life was
does.
dimmed a little bit, it was dimmed, and it took something, like in order to eat an egg, you have to crack it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to crack it. What could you tell our audience today? Anyone that's going through workplace trauma, and to be alert about from beginning to end, what could you say? Tell them.
So, first, understand your own values and see how where you're working aligns with those values.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is don't just shake things off as if that's how people are and accept whatever is coming towards you. Sometimes people with the best intentions give you absolutely terrible advice. So know what your values are and then line up the information that you're receiving, the behaviors that you're seeing to
Mm-hmm.
those values. And that's how you can hold yourself accountable. And that's how you decide, okay, you know what? There are some things that I see here that don't make sense for me. I need to start figuring out my way out of here. That you
Right.
can start to make your plan in that
Oh,
once you
that's
have
good.
your foundation. But if
Yeah.
you don't know what your litmus test is, if you don't know what you're holding yourself up against, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
accept and deal with whatever comes in your way. Um,
Right.
and it like you said, it dims your light. It takes a whole lot more for you to get yourself out of that situation than it would have if you were just alert and aware of what's going on.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. That you ain't never told untruth about that. It's just really, it's so, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. It makes a whole difference. Lining up, and if I didn't, I got sick. I really got sick from being around the toxicity, because
Mm-hmm.
how can you know? People tell me, and my clients tell me, "Oh, I just ignore it." I said, "I'm telling you, I'm the most high energy person I know. Even when things are terrible, I'm like, I'm like, I had a cup of coffee, and it was all the coffee and like a double espresso, okay, and it was literally had me questioning, am do I really have the skills for this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, am I really doing too much? That kind of
Yeah.
thing. You know,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
do I really know what I'm talking about? You know, am I qualified to talk about this? Now, here
Mm-hmm.
I'm a whole black
Mm-hmm.
person telling them about what the black situation is in housing, but am I qualified? I'm asking myself that. Am I qualified? And I'm like,
Right.
what is wrong? It was getting me sick. I literally had to take off from work. It would be time to go to work. Even after meditation, after I'm sitting there meditating, I would get a excruciating headache. And I ain't even did nothing. I didn't eat nothing. It was like it was the worst feeling ever. And I went to the doctors. And my doctor, he was a really nice guy. He said to me, asked me a question. This is funny. So he says to me, Edna, do you feel like you are want to hurt yourself? I said, no. What I feel like doing is going through that Zoom and slapping everybody in the Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he said, okay, I think it's time for you to take a couple weeks off.
Right. Right.
And I'm gonna give you something to relax your nerves. He said, and so I came, the 2 weeks went by and I came back, right? So he says, Edna, I've been thinking about you. And he said, you're not on any type of medication, and you're very fairly healthy. And he says, and you seem like a very good person. And something just said to me, sometimes it's time to leave.
Mm-hmm.
He told me, you may have a plan. I said, I do. He said,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's time to leave. If it's doing something to your body, it's time to leave. So I've known you all these years and you ain't have no medication. Now I'll give you medication for nerves.
Right. Well,
Yeah, it's time.
it affects your body, and I don't think
It
people,
does.
you assume that maybe you can shake it off, or maybe it's just emotional. It
No.
100% affects your body when
Yes.
you're dealing with stress and trauma like that. So,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, and it's toxic into what I'm saying. In the
Mm-hmm.
environment, you cannot live. You as a high energy person, a Christian person, anyone, you cannot live in poison. You just can't.
Right.
You can't because realizing we're there more at a job more than we are at home. We just sleep when we're home, but we spend more time at work with those people than we do sometimes with even our own family.
Right.
So to be around them that long, all day, can you imagine somebody 27 years, 29 years, 30, 42
Mm-hmm.
years, and then you retire only to have cancer, only to have
Right.
fibromyalgia, only to have arthritis and all these other things and illnesses and mental breakdowns. For all of that, I have a friend that she worked in I forgot what it's called. It's like a mental institution. It was like where they house all the those that have really severe mental issues.
Okay.
She went to retire and she broke. She went mentally crazy.
Mm.
She kept saying, "I feel weird," and I said, "I think you need to, because we." And did you take vacations? By the way, I'm gonna ask you. Did you?
Oh, yes. Yes. That
That wasn't
is,
the best thing in the world,
sorry.
right?
That is like, that is the reason why I have the business I do now. I 100% approve of vacations and
Vacation.
breaks because you have to get away.
You do.
Yeah, you have
And
to get
and
away.
and when you're under this type of stress, you also say, thank God it's Friday a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you said,
Mm-hmm.
oh, dreadful Monday a lot. When you find yourself saying that, it's time to go.
When you're
It's
thinking about
time
Monday
to
on
let
Friday, it's time to go.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
And you start panicking on Sunday.
Yes.
It's going to be Monday already. I only got 8 hours, and you
Look.
start and you start panicking and not even enjoying the 8 hours up until
Right.
because you're worried about
Right.
Monday.
Yeah.
It's time to leave.
Yeah.
Make a
It's time to
plan. I
go.
like that. I love that you say make a plan because I made an exit strategy. And
Mm-hmm.
thank God I did. Like I was always putting the money away, but I thank God I did because I gotta they intended on keeping me there. They didn't even want to tell anybody I was leaving. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like you don't believe in leaving? Like I'm looking around like y'all doing business like regular. Like I'm leaving. You guys don't know I'm leaving? What? I was like, wait, seriously?
I started to give that supervisor that I was with heads, like when it finally clicked, like, all right, sis,
Mhm.
you need to exit. And my supervisor, I think, felt that I was trying to leave. And that's, of course, when you start to make your own plan, then things seemingly, like doors seemingly open up, right?
Yeah,
And he was like, oh, how about we send you to this training? And how about we get you on this track? And it was very tempting. And I started to pursue like another master's. And I was like, this isn't the path for me. This is not what I'm
right,
interested in. And it's causing me more stress. So that's just one of those things. Does it align with my
right,
values? Does it make sense for me?
right.
Is it aligned with my plan? And it was not. So I hurried and got out of there. Yeah.
That's good. I'm telling you, you have to like that plan. It doesn't align. It doesn't align with your values. And when I found myself on the verge of cursing, I was like, yeah, time for me to
Mm-hmm,
go.
mm-hmm,
Or
mm-hmm.
when I'm on the verge of always cutting you, like really just everything short and straight to
Yeah,
I mean straight to the throat, not the gut. It's just straight to the throat. I'm cutting
yeah,
you off. And when I found myself that that's not me in a normal situation, you
right.
know, I can do it, but it's not my normal demeanor. I said, oh yeah, something is definitely happening with me. Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah. So you know it's important which everything that you said and shared here today. And I like that you've come from a military background. Is there something that you as you look back over your life that you wish that someone would have said to you? For me, I'll tell you, I wish somebody would have told me I was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that you wish somebody would have said to you?
Mm. You know, I've had the encouragement, I've had some opportunities present themselves. I feel like just knowing that
Mhm.
you're capable,
Right.
um, and just being reminded that you are capable and you belong is like, instead of trying to, I forget what the quote is, but I think so. This would be my one thing. Um, I forget the full quote, but it's instead of trying to like find a seat at the table, you make your own table.
Oh yeah. Make it.
Um,
You bring your chair. You bring the chair.
you bring
You bring
your
the
chair,
yeah. There's
right?
no seat.
Bring
You
your
bring your
chair.
chair.
I
Yeah.
think that's something that definitely I had to be like I had to learn that. And so later
Hmm.
when it was said to me, it meant something because of what I had gone through. I think if someone else had just said it, I would be like, yeah, of course, why not? Would not have meant a thing. But knowing what I had gone through and seeing or being excluded in spaces where I genuinely didn't understand why I was, um, I
Hmm.
thought my options were limited. So yeah, bring your chair. If you find that you don't have a seat
Yeah.
at the table, bring your chair.
Yeah. So tell us about this new business. Now I heard a little bit. I didn't forget. What's the business you are in? We were talking, but what's the business you are in?
So I'm a travel mindset coach, and for me that means I'm trying to teach people how to see themselves in the way that a solo traveler sees the world. So one of the principles of my business is clarity. We have
Hmm.
confidence and
Okay.
just being curious. And
Yeah.
so trying to make sure that when I talk about creating a plan, I also present this in a way of like designing your first solo trip, which is mainly what I do. But I also
Okay.
think it's important to align travel with wellness. When you're able to see how your like travel actually impacts the different areas of your life, spiritual, emotional, physical,
Hmm.
occupational, even you incorporate all of these different things so that when you travel, there's a mindfulness and there's intentionality to it. And I think when you return home, you
Yeah.
have more of a sense of completion and wholeness versus coming from a trip and you're exhausted and then you go back to work and nothing's changed, or you escape, right? You go on a trip to escape and you haven't fixed
Hmm.
the mess that you left. So my journey as a coach is just to help people fix that mess, deal with those issues, break through those barriers so that when you're traveling, you have that wellness and intentionality. So you can just enjoy your life, enjoy this beautiful planet that we're on, and connect with people that you wouldn't otherwise if you didn't travel.
Nice. Let me tell you, I come from a trip. I want to go to another one.
Like always,
I
right?
want out of here. Like, yeah, I want to go. I'm planning for my next trip. My daughter says to me, Mom, so like I love football. So yesterday I was here and I used to go to my friend's house. So I'm waiting on my daughter. So my daughter's like, Mom, she called me up, Mom, I'm not coming. So before I pick the phone up, I'm yelling, she goes, Who's there with you? I said, Me. She said, Mom, you're the only one that has a party by herself. Like, yo, I'm watching football, I'm excited. And my neighbors say to me, we know it's football season when we hear you. We don't ever hear you no other time. But we hear you in football season, so we know it's football season. And I say, yeah, I love football and I love yelling and screaming. So what you know, I think what you're teaching is important, and it's finding your creativity. It's also finding your imagination.
Mhm.
Traveling is imagination, and we've lost that along the way to
Yeah.
adulthood. We've lost
Yeah.
it. We've lost it. And a lot of creation of your own life is visualization. So I didn't get my car until I saw it. Like it's not wasn't enough. It's not enough to put it on the vision board. What I had to do was go sit in it, smell it, drive it, all of that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Really visualize it because it doesn't mean much to me if I don't feel it. And that's a big step. Is what you're doing is feel that, you know, feel to get back to that feeling of imagination, creating what do you want your trip to look like? You know?
Right. Right.
What do you want to do besides just sitting on the side of the beach sipping Mai Tais? Do
Mhm.
something. Like I'm a big proponent of I'll do everything. I'll be going all day. You don't have to get me a great hotel or a resort. If as long as you don't got bugs, animals, holes in the wall, and locks, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
That's
I'm
the
going
thing, right?
in
It's like
there. Yeah, I'm
just
going in
teaching
there.
people that
Yeah,
you
I'm
have
going in there.
options. Yeah.
Yes, you have options, but I'm going to be gone the whole time. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And then I'm only going to be falling in and go to sleep, and then wake up and start all over again.
Yep.
That's what a vacation is like. You have to experience it all. You know, I was the oldest in my trip when I went to China. I was no, it was two of us that were older, and other kids they're younger. They're teaching English as a second language, but they were in their twenties,
Okay.
early 30s. And so I was the oldest, so it's like we're going to Beijing. We doing all this stuff, having a good old time. So they's like, oh, we're going to the wall, to the Great Wall of China. I said,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
So we walk in, and I had just started walking like right after that because I had a car accident. My hip, my hip and stuff was broken, but I just
Oh
started walking.
wow.
And so I'm walking, and so they's like, yeah, we gotta hurry up and get through here. I said, for what? Don't you want to experience this? So
Mhm.
okay, we go up, and by the time I'm walking real slow, I'm just taking everything in, watching the bugs because you got bugs there that are bigger than you don't know what's going on. So I'm watching the bugs, but I'm taking everything in, looking through the holes in the wall because it's a lot on there. You go through tunnels and things like that. So we get to the part where we get it to the end. So I done traveled all the way to the end. And they was like, okay, what are we gonna do? I said, what's that right there? So they was like, oh, that's a zip line. We'll never go down that. I said, oh, I'm going.
Right.
I got on that zip line, right? They was like, China is not too safe. If it falls, it just falls. I said, I'm gonna be 5 years old today. I'm just gonna believe I'll make
Yes.
it all the way down. So I get on, we're going down full speed. I'm zipped down. They're still walking now. I done got there now. So me and two other friends, we zipped down. And so he's like, yeah, you want to leave them? I said, yeah, we can hop on the bus and we can go back and go where we got to go. We got home and half the time and we were doing more. We were somewhere else. By the time they got back, they was like, what, you really zip lined? I said, yeah, we was gone. We're gone. But take advantage. You bring that back,
Mhm.
Grace, you bring that back and your name is so apropos for what you're doing because the
Thank you.
grace of learning to have a vision and to
Mhm.
visualize your vacation and then embrace it and receive it is grace. That's complete grace. It's complete grace. I love it. Love it. Love it. You're teaching me
Thank you.
something
Thank
new.
you.
Love it. Well, Grace, I know this is the end of the show right now, but we've gotten so many juicy nuggets from you, audience. I know you love what you're hearing, and I know that we want to share the travel agency with you. We're going to have that information on the bottom of the audio and the video version, so look for it at the bottom. But Grace, give me your website so they can know it right now in person.
Absolutely. So it is the amethystpalavahut.com.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um, we will spell that out for you. I know it's a lot.
No,
But
no, just say
yes.
it because we're gonna put it in the bottom of the we're gonna put it in the body of the content. So don't worry,
Okay,
they'll
good.
have your information. So
So it's
that's one.
www. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Say it one more
So
time.
it's www.amethystpalavahut.com. You can find good info about me and just sign up for a clarity session. But yeah, anything that you want to learn is going to be on that site.
All right, and we so love it, audience. Again, I'm saying goodbye right now, but I know you're gonna see us next week. So thanks for stopping by. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this episode so that everybody doesn't miss life as it happens for real on purpose. We're going to say bye for now.